love to have your input on anything that you've seen tonight. I'm going to get out my board and my pretty color markers. Well, we have several different colors, so I'm going to make somebody choose which color we get to use from the peanut gallery. Well, we have all of our visitors here, so we're going to make one of our visitors choose. You're in the front row and the closest to me. So would you like aqua, light green,
Appropriate.
or purple iris? Oh yeah? How perfect is that?
Yeah.
And you. All right, we're going aqua. It's us artsy fartsy folks who kind of flock to each other, who find each other naturally. So what do you guys think so far? That was a ton of information that I kind of pushed out in an hour, so I hope I didn't overwhelm you with that.
You're going to keep you busy now.
What's that?
You're going to be busy now.
Good. It's great. I love being busy. Sure beats the alternative. Okay. What do you guys think, Fair Board? I just want to kind of focus on 2-year goals for right now, and ideas that are out there. I'll kind of leave it up to you what you'd like to hear the most from the folks that are so graciously gave up their evening to be with us.
Can you flip back to the 2-year goals that they made?
I can. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So this can be little stuff, and it can be huge stuff. So brainstorming, just we need to get them out there, and then it'll be our job to prioritize. What's the most important thing to get done. But we need to hear them. We need to hear all of your ideas.
And this is anything. This doesn't have to be building related, just because the architect's standing up here with a aqua marker in his hand. This can be anything from more Facebook posts to making sure the sign out front is more colorful, or whatever. This can be anything for a 2-year goal. But it should probably be something that's seems like it's pretty easy to achieve, but gets a lot of bang for the buck. Generally 2-year goals are something that you can get through real quick, get some momentum, feeling really awesome about what you're doing. That's what 2-year goals are about. Anybody heard of Dave Ramsey? Total money makeover guy. I'm a big fan of Dave Ramsey. But he does this thing called the debt snowball. It's kind of the same principle, where he places all of his bills low to high, and rather than paying off the highest interest one first, like every good little accountant will tell you to do. Oh, you got to get that high interest credit card done. But that's my one that has $20,000 on it. Dave Ramsey uses the momentum of paying off a $500 one first, then the $1,000 one next, and you're just gaining momentum, and you're feeling really good about yourself, and you're going to have so much more success in getting to the larger. Did I say that? Success.
Just thinking about the lights going.
Take the opportunity to get water.
I have some low-hanging fruit from the rabbit.
Was that on film, by the way?
Yep.
Can you? I want editing rights at the very end.
Low-hanging fruit from the rabbit committee, a request for spending the dollars on the rabbit. They want their barn cooled, rabbit barn cooled, and they would like a concrete floor for their tent.
How about new structure? Instead of a barn, an open structure.
They
Rabbit
want
barn.
shelter. They want it to be like a
As
shelter.
in better ventilation, move the air through there, kind of like it is in the expo building.
And what was the other one?
They want an open shelter type, and that's where they do their
Showing.
show. So,
So concrete floored show tent.
Show barn.
show shelter.
Show shelter. Okay. Rabbits. Show shelter
With concrete floor.
with concrete
Thank you.
floor.
I'll go. I know it's sit right now. I know for the arts and the photo, and probably even the flowers and maybe the household goods too, a better exhibit space that's not so confined and that's well lit and easier to move around. And in addition to that, you opened up the door. So another thing that has been on my mind, because we're doing an event and looking for, we found a place to rent, but there's no, there's not very many options for places, for people to have events in the county, like sit-down dinners. There's not a lot of options for that, and the fairgrounds could be that. I know, I'm really bad with the building names. I know there's a building at the fairgrounds that you can do that in. I don't know the name of it.
The Bruner Arena?
Ritter.
Okay. But it's maybe not the most attractive place if you're trying to do a semi-formal event in. And it could be something even fun, like the big barn across from the flower building.
Tony building.
The produce building?
There was produce in it, that's
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Okay, that place. I mean, it could be something where it's a big, beautiful, clean barn area for having events and maybe even with movable walls for art.
Do you have a attendee number that you're thinking of, that you were looking for?
Is this a 300 person kind of?
Yeah, like 300 something, or our space isn't even available anymore because we used to could fit 100 people and we just put a wall up, so we can't anymore. And then the gathering place is only 152, and when you're looking for a fundraiser that only 152 people can come to, it's not a lot of people.
What is Bruner?
6,000 square feet.
But numbers? Do we give numbers out?
Divided by 15.
400.
400 is what you can fit in there. I could. For what it matters.
But we had a wedding at the expo building? How many people did they have?
Probably that many, I would think.
About 600?
I don't know if it was that many, was it?
I would think that.
4 to 5. Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking 3 to 5 or 600
So,
people.
300 to 600. Okay.
Has anybody thought about concrete and all the livestock barns?
I'm sure it'd be a great goal to have.
That would benefit a lot.
Yeah.
I know one of the long-term goals is a new hog building, so up until then, we need some ventilation in the hog barns.
Okay.
Bad.
Alright, so concrete. Just specifically in the hog buildings or everywhere? I mean, ventilation can always be better, or is the hog,
Well, I'm just more familiar with the hog buildings. I can't speak for some of the others.
Yeah, I would stick with that.
okay. Great.
I think looking at the current 2-year list, physical appearance, I think, like you said, that physical appearance does mean a lot. It may just be fresh coat of paint, but the front entrance of the fairgrounds, even though it's not used a lot, it says what we are, and I think it would be neat to have a front entrance and tear the horse barns down. I mean, if we're not using them and they're falling down, overall appearance, just going through and kind of cleaning, doing some cleanup, and I think that ties in with, one of our 2-year goals of physical appearance.
The front entrance is used 51 weeks a year. So, I mean, it ought to be pretty.
You see in the front entrance for visitors though, people attending the events?
Well,
Or
the
just
visitors
front
don't usually use it,
entrance
but just driving by and, they
What
have
the
a,
front entrance looks like, okay.
yeah, because in the picture it may look like it's structurally sound, but it's not. You wouldn't lean against it.
Yeah.
Electrical
Not
upgrades.
twice anyway.
Yeah.
And
out of the 37 buildings, I think probably less than 10 have any type of guttering systems. So every building is rotting from the bottom up right now.
Yes, you're correct, there's a lot of them. When you say electrical upgrades, is that more for capacity?
Safety.
Safety. So bringing it up to more current codes rather than when they were put in place. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir.
I do have one question, Kirk, if I could bother you.
Sure.
One of our major concerns, I think, in the past meetings has been the structural integrity of the grandstands. So I didn't hear you mention that. Or is there anything on the
I was waiting
grand?
for someone to ask me about it. I don't want to just throw it out there. No,
Maybe I
the
should have
grandstands, from what our field inspector saw, appear to be structurally sound. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't appear like they're falling down and there's large gaping holes in there or it's rusting to pieces, but it needs some TLC
Okay.
and soon, to where it just needs a fresh coat of paint to stop the rusting from happening. The more the rust happens, and I'm sure, as that rust, starts to peel away and, wire brushed off and you start to get down to bare metal, you might find there's a little bit more rust and there may be some, some minor repairs on there, but in his opinion and what he saw, from a visual appearance, and I mean, he didn't check every single bolt and every single intersection of the entire grandstands, but in general, they seem to be in good shape. They're not going to fall over.
Okay.
So, I know everyone was kind of holding their breath on that one for me to answer it.
James, you've already identified some areas for
Yeah.
repair.
I run Thanksgiving community dinner down at the Bruner Arena, and in line with the events, there is no really working kitchen to do an event like a wedding or anything. The current kitchen equipment, we borrow and beg and steal to get it in there right now, which works, but just to see a working full working commercial kitchen, if they're going to have events at Bruner, as well as when we work down there, we do lose some of the electrical circuits from overload. We blow the circuits because we have, in the line to keep the food hot, we put cookers in, which when you get so many in line, it'll blow the circuits that are there. So just looking at the, for those type events, to make sure the electrical in that particular facility as well as the kitchen. And as well as I do short order for Park Festival, and if it rains real heavy after setup, I go back through and have to clean everything because the roof leaks in certain spots in there, and then everything gets dirty from the dust and everything, which, again, all the volunteers are wonderful about getting it clean, but just looking at that type of thing for having those type of events at the fairgrounds year-round.
That's a great idea.
Why don't you name a specific building?
I think that's the sheet building.
That's a sheet building.
Building
That's what orders
23,
in.
yeah.
Where you would want the kitchen?
No, that's
I'm kidding.
well, as a matter of fact, yes, doing short order, it does need a kitchen. But I'll
But not
settle for
during the
just
fair, that's a sheep arena.
Building
Roof repair.
repair, and I'm sure it's on a report. I could probably look at building number 23 on here and see what's in there, but.
And it's one of the open buildings, but, yeah.
Gotcha. No, I like the kitchen idea. That's a great idea. I mean, is there any kitchen on the fairground?
There
I'm
used
sure
to be
Don
a
would know.
kitchen there in Bruner, but right now it's not set up, so.
Gotcha. And is that commercial kitchen or warming kitchen?
There was residential stoves there. I moved a commercial stove in. Of course, I have to move it out when I did this last Thanksgiving. And by the way, just so the fairgrounds knows, because we were cooking in the flower building, which is a whole nother issue, by the way, to put using a kitchen space down there. But moving it up there, and they allowed us to put some gas lines in for the propane for the convection ovens. It works wonderful. The space is great. It's just getting the kitchen in working order. So
How many people does the Thanksgiving dinner do?
well, we We actually fixed over 776 meals this past year, but part of those go out in delivery and carry out.
Very cool. I used to work in food service a long time ago, so I understand the quantity. And my brother's a chef, so definitely understand that stuff. Thank you.
I think we need to upgrade the water distribution system there
Okay.
to bring it up to code and standards. There's always a possibility of a backflow problem at hand, so eliminate that situation.
I'd like to see the produce building be renovated.
The produce building was on one of our very short list to need some help. Aside from the horse barns, which we know, you could go either way with completely repairing those things altogether or just tearing them out and starting it over. I mean, it's such a toss-up. But the produce building being a historic building, I mean, you find in the report it's one of the ones that needs a lot of work. So produce building, just want to call repair in general.
Yeah.
Would be money ahead to tear that down and build a
Yeah.
bigger barn and have
That's
a.
what's good.
Uh-oh, you're talking to the historic guy.
I mean, I don't think it is historic. What year was it? Did we
It
check
looks like
into
about
that?
1910.
I
That's,
thought we checked into it and they said it was.
Yeah, I thought.
Maybe not on the
I thought he
National
was right.
Register,
I thought it
but-
was checked into, it was not built in 1910, it was built like in 1950 something, 1960.
oh, really?
Am I correct on that, Robbie? Did you guys check that out?
They could have moved it too, maybe. I don't, did they build it or move it?
I
If
think,
it-
I think it moved it.
Yeah.
Cause I got a barn on my place that was moved from another farm.
I didn't know if it'd be better to.
So
If it was moved, there's no history about that
Okay.
being moved.
Hmm.
Am I correct on that?
Interesting. I'm glad to know that information. I'm writing it down. Possible replacement building for the produce.
I'm not saying the same thing, it's one of my favorite things.
I know.
If it makes better sense to do it.
yeah.
Take
Place-
the
question mark.
beams out of it, and hang them in the new
I'll
box.
sell them there.
There you go. Reclaimed wood, structures.
Just hang them in there for decoration.
And then also for year-round events, some of the heating systems in some of the existing buildings need upgrading.
Comments about the expo building. What's the expo building need?
Bathrooms.
Roof.
Roof.
The roof's not too bad.
Huh?
The roof's not too bad.
Ladies,
There needs some repairs.
Does it?
It's not bad, but it needs
screws
some
has
repairs.
fallen off of it.
Yeah. Because it was built in 2006, if I remember right.
You talking about the expo now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, around there.
The second phase of that needs to go on, what I was told or talking about was the, restrooms on to that building. But I'm not sure where that second phase,
That's a third phase,
That was the third phase.
that's the third phase?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's the
third
second
phase?
phase?
concrete
Concrete.
floor.
Oh,
Is there already plans drawn up for that?
We do have someone willing to step up and help us put a lean-to on the north side of that building, the full length, 25, 30 foot out, whatever it is. So that's one thing that we can look at partnering up to with some other associations that's willing to help us out with that.
I'll make sure to keep that in mind as we're looking, from a master planning standpoint. Especially, there's nothing better than $3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if we don't jump on it, we may lose it, so.
What would the lean-to be for? Just storage?
Well, the Pork Festival could use it for their displays.
Okay.
We could use it for storage in the off-season. As far as fair, we're trying to look for a spot to put dogs because we have more dogs wanting to come in and showcase at the fair. I mean, that would give them a spot. And then this association, which is a tractor pull association, would use it to stage trucks. That, it would free the inside of the building up for more bleachers for more people.
Good. I was just curious.
So this lean-to, James, is it going to be opened into the expo? You plan on having a,
I think what we had talked about is just kind of leaving the garage doors, and that would still be the only, we wouldn't take the wall down for the expo, it would still be like it, just being lean-to on the side of it.
a closed-in lean-to then?
Well, it was, no, I guess it'd be open, yeah.
No wall?
No walls.
On the north side or west side?
On the north side. Between, you know, where the road that goes between the rabbit barn and the expo in that grassy area down there.
So it'd be a lean-to open to the north
Right.
with
Yes.
sides open.
No access to the interior of the expo building from the actual lean-to.
The garage doors and the man doors.
On the
But-
left and
but
right.
it's
On the
not.
north side, there's two garage
Mary's
doors, two
correct,
man
there's
doors.
no entrance into.
Yeah.
You're
That's
correct.
what I thought you were asking.
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay. But you're saying that inside the lean-tos, there might be a man door.
Mhm. The doors that are on the building now would stay.
I got that.
Okay.
Would they be a part of the lean-to is what we're asking? Or is the
Part of the
lean-to a
building.
part of them, or would they be, the lean-to would be inside of
I
them?
think James is trying to say they're just gonna extend it off the expo building out to the road.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to drive it, and it'd just be an extra roof that covers that machinery field
An
area.
open lean-to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's what I.
The same roof. Okay.
They got a tile going down through the main tile.
Yeah, you do have main tile going down through there.
What's that?
You got a main tile going down through there.
Okay, I mean, that's something we'd have to look at, but,
Well, I just weight-wise, and stuff,
Right.
be careful with what you want to, under that lean-to.
okay.
Any other suggestions or comments? Yeah.
Just thinking about that more website activity, I don't, forgive me if you already have this, but what about putting like a webcam in for the animals so that like people who are interested in maybe learning more about how to raise hogs or bunny rabbits or whatever can actually look and see cameras of them at the fair, and people, it just drives up interest, like everyone's always excited to see, you know, eagle nests and zoo animals on camera.
I like it. Great idea.
I think that the website could be improved in quite a few ways, because I've never been to the fairgrounds, so this is all new to me, but just looking at the website to get some information, I would love to see like a bit more pictures. Like the whole page is just, you know, brief information. I think it could be a little bit more eye-catching and just have a little bit more on there for people that want to learn about what goes on there.
It's not a marketing tool for us right now, is it?
No, not particularly.
I think we were.
Oh, I think you have an idea bubbling up in there. I can see it.
So I think we really need to look into the horse barn, extra horse stalls, and take advantage of using some of this money to generate money that we can later use on the fairground itself. And with that, you know, with them racinos and all that stuff going on, there's a lot of people looking to stall horses. You put 200 horses, everybody pays their bills. I mean, that's pretty good income per month.
On that note, I'll pass this around to the rest
I'm
of the
not a
group.
horse guy, I'm just,
This was in the Dayton Business Journal just last week. That Warren County has 17 rental horse barns that raise $500,000 a year in revenue. 700 stalls.
A lot of money.
I'd like to see a new sound system in Bruner, if you wanna try and use that for your
Already read it.
rental. We need a better sound system.
I think a nice Bruner upgrade sounds in order, from, a nice Bruner upgrade sounds in order from a lot of folks, I mean, saying that
Well, I
there's.
think
Sound
an overall sound system upgrade,
Yeah,
not just
that's
Bruner,
huge.
but the whole fairground.
It's huge.
Infield events.
And that's also a safety concern to have a better sound
Yeah, I
system.
think we had that,
For Pork Festival and Fairgrounds, as far as that.
I may have been on our 5-year goal.
Yeah, it was in there somewhere.
Where was it? I think it was on there somewhere. I'm sure it was. Anyway, it may have been on one of our negatives.
But would you put Bruner in there with it? Because that is a,
There's such potential for
Yeah.
dollars year round.
Yeah.
and I really think we could do a lot with that building as far as rentals if we just really brightened it up. You know, the hard thing about it, I've heard people complain about, you know, once a hog show arena, always a hog show arena, you know? So if you're gonna have your wedding reception at the Bruner Arena, well, put some boots on and kick up your heels and have fun. Don't worry about what it might smell like when you go in. But we do have to be able to clean it up well,
Yeah.
so.
Still bubbling over there?
Yeah,
Okay. Wait.
thank you. Chris, I'm ready to put you on the spot.
I'm gonna make you mad. Yeah. Well, I agree that the front entrance needs dressed up. But even back to when my time on the board was, the first dress up would be the horse barns come down. They're beyond financial repair that makes fiscal sense. You can't fix them. The pretty building out front is the same way. But we could build another one that mimics that look far cheaper than you can fix that one.
That doesn't make me mad.
Okay,
Nice try
but the produce building will make you mad. Because we looked at that years ago about fixing it. And it's not spending my money, it's not spending your money, it's spending everybody's money. And if we can't do it that makes sense, what Rodney said, tear it down and do another Bruner building there. You know, something that gets more usage. And we need to look at all the barns that way.
I don't disagree.
I just hate to tear something down that's old, but
But at the same time, you can tear it down and you can build something like it. And you can take some of the beams that are
Exactly.
inside
Yeah,
and
I know.
decorate with that.
that's the way I would love to do that.
You know, so you can make it look
But
like.
fixing that barn, I don't think makes, I don't care if you're getting the grant, you still have to spend it wisely. But I agree, yeah, we do that all the time, and there's gonna be a project in Eaton that we're gonna be doing that with. So, that makes great sense, but fixing that building doesn't.
And putting up a new building, you have a cash, I don't call it a cash cow, you know, but, I mean, if you have a building where you can have events, you're generating some cash flow and you're getting traffic flow and people interested in coming to the fairgrounds.
And it pretties up the grounds as people drive through, which is gonna be more attractive. And the produce building is too tall, you're using a third of that space because of all of your unused upper space that you can't condition. It just makes no sense. And if you do another nice building there, that's in the front half of the fairgrounds, that's visible from the road, I think you're gonna start attracting more people.
Probably built it big enough you can put your fine arts or whatever in the same
Right.
building and do away that building, don't
But
fix
you-
it.
I mean,
Well,
you could put
what-
an air-conditioned building up, so.
How many of those buildings? I mean, look at the antique building. I mean, that whole group of buildings.
Right.
So we want
And that
to
would
go
help with
free.
Pork Festival. We already talked about flow at Pork Festival. And, you know, we worked down there with you on that. That's one of the buildings that we use it because it's there, not because it's efficient. So put a longer building up. And you started it. You asked me to start talking. I think you need to tear down the old restrooms, the building that you
Now be
just had.
specific. The old restrooms over by
No.
No.
FFA.
Center and Fairgrounds,
But in the
Center and
FFA.
Fairgrounds.
FFA building.
The FFA building and the milk parlor,
Well,
and that's your
we could just say,
location for the nice new restrooms, the nice showers.
East.
No.
That's on the backside,
And
yeah.
that's the FFA building, right?
Gotcha.
What- would-
Like I said, Don knows this way better than I do. I wish he could have been here.
Would you start a whole page with this? You're not
My
getting,
idea,
you're not
yeah.
getting all the credit for this. This has been discussed already, so, we'll name it after you though if you want. So, start again. Let's talk about what we might tear down, and maybe we can start that list. What would you tear down?
Well, you want to start at the front? Well, I mean, the things like the horse barns, the two horse barns out front are crap. They were crap when I was on the board. I wouldn't rent them for anything.
Well, this is a good time if you think they ought to stay. Pipe up and,
The guys that are in them are happy, right? I mean, they're satisfied and what is specifically?
Have you been through them?
Yes,
Bill?
I have.
Foundations are going away, you know, you need to jack them up. New roof structures, it's back to, you can't fix them, or once you can tear them down and put a new building up.
Right. Well, the thing is, talking to the horsemen on the grounds, and not just on our grounds, but
No, not that one.
other places.
No, it's one
That's-
storage
that's
place.
the ground, but yeah,
But
yeah.
I think this is actually from one of those.
Right.
One barn will not work. I mean, if you want to build 100-stall barn with the traffic flow and the horses in and out and all this stuff, it wouldn't work. You would have to build kind of what Warren County has. I mean,
Multiples.
you know, 3, 4, 5 barns, what, you know, whatever it would take. I mean, I know that this year with the racinos going in, our horse count on the grounds tripled. We went from about 15 head of horses in May to 45 right now. And at one point, we were getting calls weekly wanting to rent stalls, and the barns weren't feasible enough to have them, you
So
know.
you don't disagree with what I said?
No,
They like them because that's what they've always been in.
right.
They're no
and
worse
they're
than they.
cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
So,
And then
Upgrade,
this guy don't
raise
get
your
along
rent.
with that guy. so-
well, we found that out when we talked about building earlier.
Yeah.
They don't want a big barn, because I don't want to stall with you, and I don't want to stall with you. I want my little group that I'm used to.
Yeah.
And economically, that doesn't make sense, but somewhere in between what you've got now
Right.
and a 100-stall barn would work, somewhere in there. I think you need to rebuild your old ticket booth out front, although I don't know what you would use it for. It's not a ticket booth anymore, that's what it used to be. But you could copy that exactly.
I would say we've got about 60
You
stalls.
can make it for storing road signs and all that.
Well,
stuff.
anything that you could maintain the appearance so that it looks like it's that same building. But if you're gonna redo your front for a better entry,
Yeah.
you can move it
That
one
was-
way or the other too,
That
so.
was my suggestion, was the 2 barns out front, to move them, and that would open up our entrance for traffic flow a lot better.
And appearance.
And appearance, right. Which is those where it says some enter, those 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Then moving back through the fairgrounds, because I'm not done yet. I've not heard of the office idea. That's not a bad idea, because that's the old caretaker's house, and just converted and,
Right.
you know, they may do. If you're gonna tear down the produce building and put a new building in there, you could incorporate your office and a conditioned space in there too. Because the larger your square footage is your building is your most economic way of doing that. So, that would free up that area.
What about the sheriff?
It needs to go.
Somewhere.
The sheriff's and the race office needs to go.
I keep waiting for one of those 2 trees to
I know.
kind of fall one way or the other. I'm serious, I mean, they're humongous, and,
Well, what we
Talking about the one here.
well, there's 2, one between the
They don't
buildings.
even
one
use, the
behind
only
the
thing they
building.
use a race office for force voting now, right?
Well,
Still bet there.
Yeah,
Betting's at the Fairview one, yeah.
they don't bet there, but they take the entries there. That's where the phone-ins go, and, the sheriff department uses it. But you can't build a new building for 1 week out of the year. So incorporate that in another building that you're maybe going to build.
Okay, I'm just gonna add on to some of the stuff that Chris is talking about.
Great.
Now, this is where the important part comes to play. If we're removing the buildings in the front of the grounds, which I agree with, and we're going to have to talk about where we're going to relocate them at to build new ones, but we also got to think about our traffic flow. Put everybody, allow them to get clear into the grounds, in the parking area, put pedestrian gates on the east side of the fairgrounds to enter into the activity area. That's where you would collect their money.
Yes.
That way you would have quick access in, you would no longer have a roadblock on 122, so you made a fast entry, and you could also make a fast exit, because now you have no bottleneck right in the high traffic area.
Yes, agreed.
I do too.
That's huge.
I mean,
Mhm.
I've seen it how many years, Harold?
Yes. You
You
could
know?
have 2 lanes going out at certain times, you have 2 lanes going in.
Yeah.
You could have collection of money, and it would be better because we wouldn't have to pay as much for collection of tickets every year at the fairgrounds and other events. Sorry, Rotary, been there, sorry, Mary.
It'd be pedestrians coming in, you'd get rid of a lot of vehicles saying, I gotta get back through here.
You're
No, you
talking-
don't, you walk in.
On the east side of the fairground, kind of where he was talking about between the rabbit barn and the
Yep,
expo
right
barn.
there.
And make it,
Having an entranceway there with ticket
Correct.
booth. I mean, I'm thinking of Dark County because, I mean, when you pull into Dark County, you park and you walk up and you pay to go through their gate. I mean,
So we're talking fencing.
yes.
Fencing,
You are.
yes.
Well, fencing is cheap compared to hiring the Rotary.
we were still at the house.
No, I didn't say that, Mary. That was a joke.
have some
The picture that you showed of how you, like where you enter the fair,
Hold on, what was-
I think that's what
There
you're
it
talking
is.
about, make that so that it's better.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then that picture of the old ticket booth, if that needs to be torn down, you could recreate it there so that it's the first impression of when most of the people are actually walking in. So you still get that, recreation of a historical building, and it's still a good first impression, but it's where the majority of people are gonna see it.
Yeah, because you can still have walk-in traffic off of 122 right into the main area,
Ooh.
you know?
Yeah, but if
For
you're
people.
thinking about redoing the whole front entrance anyways, and then you can kind of maybe just move that so that the masses are gonna see something pretty when they're walking in.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Can you tell me who you are and what,
Oh, hi, I'm Renee.
as far as just a community person? or-
Yeah, I moved to the community in October, and I'm working with Amanda and Karen Bourne.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just
I was just
interested
being
in what's going on.
Trying to figure out.
Yeah.
That's,
We're talking about changing the entry,
Mhm.
but that's not the entry. That's coming off of the parking lot in the back,
It's a
which
pedestrian.
I agree, okay. I agree with what you both
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Right.
That needs to be dressed up some way too, but,
That's like your auxiliary entrance, right?
yeah, I mean, if you drive in, that's where you're gonna be walking. So,
But it seems like the majority of people that are coming to the big events, the Pork Festival and the County Fair, are gonna be using that entrance.
Right.
So,
But they've already decided to come, so we still have to worry about the front entrance where
Direction, from that
we're
point,
pulling in.
yeah, direction,
There's still a first impression from 122.
right.
yeah.
And that's a good spot too, everybody always has their picture where they're like, I was at the Preble County Fair, and is there, a pretty sign in the archway where they can get the family photo taken, and,
I'm gonna
Hashtag.
take down the tear down this weekend.
Wait a minute, before you tear, if
No, I was gonna put it up here so we can still apply to it. I was getting down to the bottom of the other list.
we just did earlier buildings.
I can still add. You have more buildings to
I
tear
don't
down?
know.
Yes.
Or we don't tear down?
You got the building.
We're through the sheriff's building.
Mountains up in Secretary's office.
You got the building.
Yep.
We don't have the visual arts building on there.
Have we torn
Or the antique and household goods. Household art.
What do you think? That's right.
We need to, I know we've talked
You're not
about,
thinking like Big Butter Jesus, are you, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? Okay. We're all close enough down.
we keep talking about all these buildings, but we still need to emphasize storage because we lose how much stuff during the year. We pay how much for pins getting
Secured
stolen and
storage.
blah, 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 getting
Secured
stolen
storage.
during the year because we don't have any storage to keep them in.
I think that's on.
Yeah, we talked about, but we've not really, I mean, that's like a huge issue if you look at the money that is being
Yeah.
replaced
The amount
through
of
the year,
money
these
and
things
stuff
that
that
are
was stolen this
stolen.
year, probably over 10 grand,
Really?
because it has to set outside when we're setting up for fair.
Or even during the year, there's no place to.
Right, I mean, it's just everywhere.
Dedicated storage.
Yeah.
There you go. Actually, more importantly, secured storage.
We can get a 60 by 80 barn built for what, 37,000?
I know, we talked about pins, and we've been talking about sheet pins with red running up or whatever. I myself think we should buy enough pins for all our 4-H kids, so we don't have to keep running those, keep carrying on with their, I mean, that's what it's all about, so these kids in the community. So that's a big thing.
Well, the thing with pins, is we don't have to rent pins. We can rent our pins to people renting our buildings for different events. You know, and that money comes back to us, not going out for us having to rent pins.
That's huge. If people, if your committee has to go drive all over the state of Indiana and Ohio to get it unpinned, to, you know, to do it. I mean, that's huge to have all the pins you need there right now.
What is the cost of pins run versus the rental?
I mean, I just, ballpark figure, just for sheet pins, and that's what I say, 200 pins, is $100,000.
How long does it take you to burn that up and rent? And I know it's a hassle
Problem
to
is-
find them.
The thing is, we're not gonna be able to rent, you know, it's getting harder and harder to rent those pins from who we've been renting them from. They're getting stingy with them, you know, because of whatever
Sure.
reason, so, I don't know what we spent, you know, when we rented.
I guess my point is, does it make more sense to continue to rent and use that 100,000 to put up another building, or purchase pins?
Well, the problem is nobody wants to rent them anymore because scrap metal's so high, they get on the fairgrounds and then they're not
Sure.
on your fairgrounds, they're gone, which is what we're coming into now.
Well, I'm sure most of you are aware that, you know, the 875 is a lot of money, but it's not gonna come near what you're talking about doing. So, you know, I'm just looking at
Now you're making me
prioritizing.
mad.
Yeah, I know.
And we've
But
not
it is
talked
just-
about time frame. This is a huge
We've got
thing.
20
We've got all
months to
these,
spend this money.
yeah, we've got all these, and these ideas are wonderful, and it would be,
Yes,
But we-
they are all wonderful. Have you done a tally on how much all your 2-year goals are gonna cost you? Has there
Not
been
the
a
2-year
tally on
goals,
that?
but
I
our
mean, I already
tally
hear
of all
there's
the,
100,000 for pins, and
Well, I mean, I
You might have-
roughly,
every one of those is excellent up there.
Mhm.
I think they're excellent. So now, I'm curious of what is gonna be the cost factor? Have we already had 875 spent, which is right here?
with that, probably, I mean, I did today roughly,
Yeah,
grandstand
probably more,
repair.
so what are you gonna kick out, you know?
Well, I said grandstand repair, horse barns, restrooms, pins. I can't remember if there was a fifth one, I forgot my paperwork. It was 600, roughly 685,000, you know, to do those events, or do those items. And then that leaves, we got 825, another 100-some thousand for appearance and the safety and building other buildings, so.
Yeah, and our, the tally from our assessment, all these repairs is gonna be, coming to you guys at the end of next week. We're finishing up
What-
those numbers as we speak, so.
From what I'm thinking, and I'm not a fairgrounds person as far as on a board, but I think we need to take care of what we got. I know, take care of what's falling down. If we put one building up in a government project, we're gonna wipe out the whole. You cannot build a building on a government property.
Prevailing wage.
It's too expensive. I think we need to, in the last meeting, safety first. We need to worry about appearance, I think. And thirdly, we need to worry about economic development. How do we get people into the fairgrounds? Because we need to generate revenue somehow. If we do a big project, it's gonna go fast. It's gonna go real fast. I think we need to focus on making all the buildings that we have look good and not leak and have gutters and upgrade some electric, and you put a new building up, it's gonna go fast. That's just all I have to put, and that's my input.
If we hire people to work on the buildings we got, do we have to pay them prevailing wage too because of the government, or, government ground?
So that's
There's
funded through the grant or
wage,
not.
there are dollar amounts, thresholds that you hit. The problem is if this is all wrapped up inside of one project, it's prevailing wage.
That's what.
Did we fall underneath an agricultural clause on that?
I don't know about those, if that applies or not.
Well, I
have
know
no idea.
lots of times we could probably fall underneath an agricultural
Well,
situation.
if you bought
The question
the
I
sheep
have on
pens
that is-
and volunteers put it in, that's what you have right now, volunteers doing the sheep pens in every year, right?
Correct.
On putting them up.
When you rent them, you have volunteers putting them up. If you spent 100,000 on the sheep pens and volunteers put them in, would you get around, Randy?
They're temporary pens.
Yeah.
They're not permanent situations.
Well,
So see, that would just be a
difference between
purchase,
permanent
and that's a product, and you don't pay prevailing wage
that's
on a
what I'm
product.
thinking, but but you use the building that those sheep pens are in other times of the year, don't you? So you'd be taking them down anyhow, right?
Yeah.
So you save some money that way, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't be having to go to Montgomery County to get your sheep pens,
Yeah,
right?
prevailing wage only applies to
Actual work.
construction type work.
Building.
If you bought new pens, is there enough room to store them all today?
No.
No.
Let's get, can I,
What Amanda said earlier about the webcams,
Mhm.
there was a security issue, $10,000. You had a rapid issue last year, you had some strategic replaced webcams. Nobody knows who's watching that, nobody knows who's capturing that video. It's kind of a deterrent though, if that stuff's going out, if you're talking about internet capability at the fairgrounds anyhow.
Just gonna have security cameras on there.
Jeff, so you and I know that if we hired somebody to do that for us, it would cost a lot of money to do that. What if we were doing it ourselves and knew what we were doing, what would it cost to put those webcams out?
that I have no idea, but when you start talking stuff like that, well, you spent $100,000 on security cameras at the jail. I think that's way high. I think they could have done it for a heck of a lot less. I mean, you don't need like webcams in every barn. You want to have an idea of, so people can look at the front from what Amanda said, and you want to know who's going in and going out, basically. So if there's a problem,
And
you can
I'll,
narrow it down.
I'll say it's high too, but when cameras are $3,000 a piece,
Well,
and we're at the mercy of the market. I mean, if you put up webcams, you're gonna have to put them up every year.
You gotta do that.
I mean, we're talking dust, we're talking temperature, we're talking. You're better off to put up a $2,000 camera than you are a bunch of $20
Yeah,
cameras.
the jail and a rabbit, we were talking a little bit of difference there, but.
Well, I'm just commenting to Jeff on camera. Is what I'm doing because it is what it is.
I have security cameras at my business, and I've had the same ones for a number of years, and they're outside, and I can cover my whole parking lot. So
And we just need to be able to
it comes down to
record
what you want. Yeah, I'm sure that they could have spent more than $100,000 if they wanted.
Mhm.
I'm sure they could spend a lot less doing it.
I'm interested in the comment about prevailing wage. You said there was a threshold, and are you the expert here?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not the
You can do
expert,
that.
I dealt with it a lot.
You can see their
Okay, so
eyebrows.
is the threshold $0, any dollar spent on putting gutters or anything
No,
on?
you know what I mean?
Or is
You
there a
want something
certain
to
project
be
size that if we broke it up, that we could keep from there than they.
They have put into effect laws that prevent you from breaking things up.
Okay.
When you start looking at this, it becomes a whole project, and the whole project value, there's time limitations between when the first dollar spent and when the second dollar spent. That would put you over the threshold, trying to do it in the time period that you've got.
Okay.
You're going to hit that, you're just not going to be able to avoid it. You know, there has to be a certain period of time that there's no money spent.
And
Before you
that
can,
amount of time is?
Yeah.
I want to say 9 months, but I do not want to commit to that because it's been a while since I've looked at it. I just know most of the time it hits you in the face. It might be 12 months, and that would just be a disaster on this.
You may have addressed this already. I thought somebody said something about it. But doesn't this funding come into play on that also? Because of where the funding comes from?
That's
I
what it
doubt
could.
It could, but I doubt it.
Okay.
You say it's the state grant, we wouldn't have to pay them.
No, that you would.
You would have
We
to.
do
Yeah.
have
That's what I
to.
meant to say.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
what's
so.
coming from the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, the state grant itself may dictate that it's prevailing wage. But because it's all one project, you're way over the threshold, because I think it's a little over $200,000 for new construction. I think is the current threshold. They change it every year, so I'm never quite sure what it is when you look it up.
I think we definitely need a legal opinion on that, because that affects how and what we do. I mean, you know, Rodney brings up a great point, you know, because you're paying those types of wages, you're going to get a smaller building or a smaller improvement based on that. If there's another way to orchestrate or break up and have two projects, don't know if that's legal, don't know if that's right, have no idea.
It won't work.
Okay, but you know.
Too many people have tried and failed.
Yeah. You know, so that we may already have our answer, but I don't know if we know we have our answer. But we need to know that we have our answer so that we know when we start to look at a project and it's 1,000 hours, X amount of dollars, because we don't know that yet.
I just added a couple in here that are older buildings that could come down if we did put up a larger building. And there's one more, Carol was trying to, we were trying to remember. Do you see it up there?
Was it the old schoolhouse there?
Yes.
Where they,
Where we used to put the art at originally.
right.
What,
It's where they do the sauce for the
is there a
kids.
number on that building, or what's it called?
Yeah, it's 21 or 21. 29. No,
that's not it. Right there.
I think there's a number in our plan, and this is not the same plan as what's in here. And you get to this assessment. Hey, it is 29. It's in ours. 42.
Just call it the sauce building.
What do we call it?
Just call it the sauce building. So what we had talked about, if the sheriff's building, the junior fair, the secretary's office, the restrooms, all of those buildings come down and we make a large building to replace all of them, house them, maybe even the extension office, maybe soil and water conservation.
Your ag businesses.
Right, exactly, all in one building so that we're saving money, sharing resources such as copiers, restrooms, conference rooms, beginning to make the fairgrounds a center of agricultural
Increasing
activity.
traffic on the
Increasing
ground.
traffic, and attention to it. That would be a great way to replace some of these buildings.
You'd have rent coming in on those buildings,
So that's an idea.
long term.
Pie in the sky.
let's see.
finance the extra expense. And then
It's a $2 million bill.
Yeah, that you finance and you pay for it monthly.
Yeah.
And you get what you're at.
Look what they're paying, they're at Kroger.
Building.
That's where they're both at.
Well, we could put the showers there and restrooms with outside access
How do you,
and inside access.
say this is a feasible plan that you're talking about, and we've got, what, 20 months, so 8 months to the fair, roughly. How do you have those buildings up for the fair and the pork festival, have them down, have the dirt work, and have the new building built before the deadline's up to spend this money?
Well, let's see,
Close
what's the
project
engine?
management.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pre-engineering building is probably the way.
I think that also, when we're talking about bringing outside organizations into our facility to rent space off of us, that building now becomes classified different than what our buildings are classified for agricultural right now. So you may be looking into a can of worms because it's going to cost you a lot more money for insurance, more liabilities by doing something of that nature than keeping it as a fairgrounds.
That's actually a really important point, and I actually talked with one of our partners, a gentleman who is a certified chief building official and sits right next to me in our office. There's actually been kind of a shift among code officials as to how to classify these types of buildings that are on, fairgrounds. They've had lots of conversations about it, and I want to say within the past few years, it's gone from calling them agricultural buildings to actually calling them what the uses are, all throughout the year. So if you do have an assembly function going in there, they're being classified as assembly buildings, and that means sprinkler systems. That means larger doors, that means fire alarm systems, that means all of those things. They're not agricultural buildings anymore. If they're housing large events, they're holding a bunch of people, it's no different than a restaurant. So that is a big shift that has happened over the last few years just among the code officials. Because that truly is an assembly building.
Right.
A lot of people are gonna be.
That's a good question.
But a lean-to
It's a
like
part of
structure or a
doing
big
it
barn or something like
today.
that.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what you're gonna get into when you're starting today.
yes.
Not like what we built years ago and could sneak through different usages.
Yeah.
We just can't do that anymore.
Right, I think the only way you could get through a chief building official and getting him to approve a big pole barn structure is to prove that from day one of the year to day 365, it's always gonna be, horses in there or, pigs in there or whatever, and it's not gonna be multi-use. Unless you can prove that and assure that's gonna happen, it's gonna be classified as an assembly building, so. Yeah.
Pardon my ignorance, but just a general question. I understand the county owns the property. The fair board leases it or has control of it?
Yes, the fair board
Yes,
does lease it.
We have
Who insures
control.
the buildings? I guess that's
The
what.
county insures them.
The county insures them, so it's under the county's risk.
Except for the expo. The expo is insured by the Preble County Pork Festival.
Because it's currently on a leased piece of property from the county. Because the county currently doesn't own it because it's leased or it's subleased to the pork festival.
Okay.
I have a question for Brian. Since this money's all basically going through the commissioners, do we have to make our recommendations and then take them to you guys? How are we gonna work together between these? Because you're fronting everything to pay for these.
Well, my understanding is, you'll make the recommendations, we'll get the contract, we'll get all the behind the scenes work done,
Okay.
pay for it, and then we get reimbursed from the state.
So you're dealing with the contractors too?
Yeah.
So all we do is tell you what we want, and you guys are gonna do the rest.
Well, or you tell us what contractors you think we should use too. We just gotta do the contract work to cover ourselves.
So I can quit getting estimates.
More than likely, we'll be getting through a couple bids.
Are you asking about like if the commissioners would have to then approve what the recommendations are?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you gonna make the final
that's what you're
okay
getting at.
as to what gets done? Or, we bring our list to you, and then are you guys gonna make that final cut, or?
I think you're you do it every day. I think you bring us your,
Once,
you know what you need, We're
Right, but
not,
I mean, I just feel like we need to know what the process, I feel like we need to know
well,
what the process is from here to the next step.
I'm one of three, and my feeling is, if you say you need this, I'm not, who am I to second guess you, because you're there more than I am.
But then you
I mean,
guys,
trust me, I go to all the events, but I don't know the electrical problems and the, you know, I'm like Kirk, I do a lot of,
and then you guys will put the
I'm
bids out.
delivering people on golf carts and taking money is what I do at fairgrounds, so.
And you guys will go through the bid process and permits and all those things.
Yeah, I think we'll be doing all that.
That makes me feel,
From a
I don't
con,
think, I don't
It's a
have the
really
knowledge to
difficult
do it.
process.
I would feel better knowing that someone that
Yeah,
knows what
that's-
they're doing
we'll have
does
all-
the permit process and all of.
we have to make
those
sure all the
steps.
i's are dotted and t's are
Yeah.
crossed, that's our,
Okay.
that's our.
Ronnie, it sounds
responsibility.
really similar to kind of a zoning process when we go through zoning boards and things like that, and staff makes a recommendation on a, zoning hearing, and it goes to city council. I can't think of a single city council meeting that I've been through that you do a zoning hearing where, council's gone against what staff says, so, look at the experts, the people who know what they're saying. I don't know how the commissioners will handle it, but I gotta think that they're trusting the opinion of the expert, knowledge, get a bid, or present it to them.
I think most of it's gonna be repairs. Already, we start putting up something, we're done.
That's fine. Great.
So do you want one nice thing?
These are great ideas, guys.
Did you guys see anything that you think on our can you put the 2 liter? I'm sorry to miss.
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's why we have this.
Is there anything that you guys think on that 2-year list should be, is like crazy and needs to go for now, or? I'm kinda just curious to see what everyone else thinks is like really
Crazy
important.
that needs to go for now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say probably the webcams. That would have to go for now. We got more important things that needs to be addressed. Not saying that people would not enjoy
Webcams
seeing
over
a
here.
show.
Sure.
She talked about this.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
You said
she's
more
doing website activity,
website.
period,
Website
yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
And when that website activity was brought up, they said the webcams. So.
Oh,
I think when that one was brought up, it was more just inclusive of, improving the look of the website to get more traffic on there. I think, if I remember right, last time we,
one thing we didn't bring up, and I think it falls in that infrastructure improvement, is our roads.
That
And
was his fifth.
That was my fifth one, was road fix.
Yeah, that's exactly, when you have the infrastructure improvement on there,
We'll just call
what
it roadway
exactly are
improvement so it
you
doesn't
having
confuse.
all fall under that? Because like electricity I had under that, the water I had under that, the roads I have under that. I call that all infrastructure.
and
It
it's
is.
all.
Well, and I call that,
Then when we-
physical appearance too.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of
Because-
it.
and
Yeah,
safety.
A lot of that goes under infrastructure, yes.
You put new pavement in there and put some paint on those barns, that place would look good.
Well, one of the things
And it's
that
cheap.
we didn't discuss here that everybody may not be aware of is that the county engineer is anybody on top of this better than me? We're hearing that he is going to help us with, because one of them is a county road.
Yes.
So we are hearing some really good things about them investing into our.
Well, they would, on the fairgrounds is a county road because of the dog pound that's on there, and they maintenance that county road. So they're looking into fixing what is theirs. And then we are looking to piggyback off them and repairing what is ours. The number that was given,
I'm just curious.
I don't know now.
But they did talk about the main drag that we're
Right, well, that's part, the main
Which
drag
one?
is part of it.
Right there.
Up top here?
No.
Start there at the front
From-
gate.
it
Start there at the front
Yeah,
end.
start at the entrance.
It's County Road 55 on the main.
Right.
Right through here.
Yep, there it is.
It's about a
Yeah,
mile,
it's
isn't it?
about 80,000 is what, I guess, the first figure they come up with. And then in my, sitting at the desk today going over things, I put 100,000 in for us because of going in between a couple barns and the roadways, where the traffic flow is, and around the back, where all the traffic flow is, the main traffic flow. Widening the south entrance off of 122, things like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where would be the importance of that as far as pavement? I need to just, I mean, just for feedback.
I mean, some of it's a safety issue because
I
some of the
agree.
roads that go through there, and it's a high traffic volume that, I mean, people can't even hardly walk across them, let alone push a stroller or a wheelchair or something like that.
If the county took care of their road, how much, I mean, on our part of it, it isn't
Well, I mean,
hugely important. I wouldn't say, would you?
Depends on how much rain we have.
But you also have to factor in before anybody does any road improvements, your infrastructure that you're talking about upgrading. Your water, your electric, because
Right.
there's nothing stupider than putting in a new road and then cut right across it.
You're very right.
My numbers were just estimates that were kind of brought to me in different places and different things that I've talked to people about buildings and get an idea.
But Rodney, your comment is, you know, as we look at this very long list, and there's a list that says $100,000 on there that is on our wish list, when we start prioritizing it, it might keep dropping down, depending on
Right.
where we place it.
Yeah, because I mean, just to, you know, share with the folks that are here, I mean, what we're doing after we gather all this information, you know, between the assessment report, all these goals, what we hear from everybody as, you know, what are high priority 2-year goals, lower priority 2-year goals, we're going to try and take our best shot at prioritizing everything, and then, you know, work with the fair board to come up with what needs to be shuffled around and what, you know, what needs to go a little higher, maybe what maybe needs to go a little lower, and then that'll ultimately become the roadmap at the end of this master planning process. I mean, that really is the end goal at the end of what we're doing here.
Do you have a time frame for the decision with the board? Because in my opinion, if you're gonna do a big project, like maybe what we talked about, the produce building and all of the others, and one big gathering building with offices and all that, if you're seriously thinking about doing something like that, you've got to have everything in line and the contracts done so that the day after the pork festival, those buildings come down, or you're gonna exceed your limit on the spending, time frame for spending. Is that doable?
I think so.
Now, if you do a bunch of little projects, that makes it a lot easier, but maybe that's not what they're gonna decide to do.
I see us kind of working through all that process with all of you guys within the next month. I mean, I feel like we're going to be done, you know, depending on how our back and forth goes
That was my
with the master
opinion,
plan.
as an outsider. You need to be done with your decisions by the end of February to get the okay, to let them bid it, to have it ready to go as soon as pork festival's over.
Absolutely.
I mean, some
Yeah,
of the projects.
I mean, that is our plan. That was my goal in the back of my head. You know, this was a major step, you know, getting through the assessment and getting all that documentation put together and things like that. Now it's time to prioritize master plan, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think by the time, I mean, we'll at least be able to get all that information put together and back to you guys, and then, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, shuffling priorities.
Right, well, some of them can happen between February and fair, because we're not tearing anything down,
Right.
something comes up, so the projects can start as soon as we get the approval to start them.
Well, but you heard
But the
where
more.
the approval's coming from, so you guys have to get your list
Exactly, that's what I'm saying,
and
but you know.
present. But yeah,
but-
you're talking like the grandstand.
The grandstands, the horse barns, the
Yeah.
storage barn, whatever,
Right.
the roads, whatever chooses to be
Mhm.
done, you know, some of that can be started immediately.
Yeah.
Has there been any math done to see, like if you did upgrade or get new horse barns, like how much revenue could be brought in from rentals, or if you, I doubt you can, this sounds like it's more talked about now, but if you did upgrade or create a new building that you could rent for facility usage, like what kind of income that could bring in, that might be more worthwhile to pay for some of these other things that want to be done? Has any of that income been?
I mean, going off the horse barns right now, we're making about $2,500 a month on what we have, which is 45. So if we would double that, you know, we would get 5,000 a month if we had them pulling, that's if, you know, with the racinos and everything the way it's going on right now, that business is going to keep growing. As far as building rental, I know that what we rent our buildings for, if we had a meeting place that was nice facilities, clean, not a barn that animals are in and out of, tables, video, all that stuff, yeah, we would be able to rent it more often.
Also, this is some of the first information I've seen, so we can do some math here to try to figure out what they're getting per barn, per horse and all of that. I asked the previous economic development director to do research for this 2 years ago and never got anything back, so. You can hire accounting firms to do this kind of research, but you're gonna pay them $10,000-$20,000 to come up with a study.
There can't be a firm financial plan like there would be if we were going to start a business, we as individuals. Because both are unknowns. If we build 2 big horse barns, we don't know the percentage of occupancy, we don't know the time frame that it would take to get there. If you build a big multi-purpose building, it's going to take a while to get the established rentals done. You know, there's never been a place to do that. So the day that it's built, you're not going to have 100 rentals waiting either.
Yeah, but we have to make intelligent projections.
Right.
That may or may not come true. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're just saying it a different way. May or may not come true. I'm saying we don't know.
Well, we do have somewhat of an idea that if we would build a storage facility, that would free up a horse barn that is currently being used as that. There would be 20 stalls, roughly, over $1,000 a month, generated immediately. Because, James, do you reckon those 20 stalls could be rented out within 3-4 months?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, because,
So,
you know, then
so
we're
you're
coming to the
looking at making payments for the storage barn just off the revenue from the horse barn that's sitting idle. Well, sitting idle with storage of our,
Oh, I understand,
but
but you're not building 100-stall horse barns
Right.
on the thought that you could rent them. You're building a storage building that you need, and then that frees up 20 stalls that are
automatically,
basically free.
right. So there is some cash flow
Right.
that you could start netting pretty quick. That's all I think. I mean, I've seen it. I've been down there for 9 years. I've seen what's going on.
If you're close to the driveway,
The closest one.
yeah, you almost hit the corner of it if you know.
The green rough one.
Yeah. I always know it.
Everybody listen to Brad. He's upset.
I just want to know what the pork festival wants. I mean, you guys sat here and listened to everything about how the fair, how we can do it for the fair.
No, I agree with everything I saw you guys think are important. I don't think it's.
I'm saying, what can you
Good that
use,
you-
like what we're doing?
I granted the produce barn, or what we call our general store, that's a big one. That's a safety issue for us. We worry about all the time. Oh, please, God, don't let anything, you know? I mean, the windows need fixed on us so the birds don't come in and, you know, just, yeah, that would be nice, bathroom on the expo, because those one bathrooms, you just cannot use at all. The ones by the track on the east end, you know,
Yeah,
with the
they're
FFA
back.
building.
You can, but you shouldn't.
That may get me
If I was a man, I probably would, but as a female,
No, you
woohoo! I had to go in and clean the men's one year.
Pretty bad.
Woohoo! So you guys are pretty brave, I agree with that. That's why restrooms, nice restrooms. I think even when the people go to the fair, they would like to have the nice restrooms. It's not
I
just a
talked
work
about that when
festival.
Harold did that building. I said, we need to get rid of that because it takes away from your building that you guys just did a bunch.
We painted it, we tried to make it look a little better, but it's still.
Should have just knocked it over then.
I don't think there's anything specific the pork festival says they need.
Oh, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
You guys have good ideas.
Absolutely.
Well, we only have one thing.
The one thing I did think about the other day, because I'm a frequenter, have any of you been to the Dublin Irish Festival right around Columbus? Largest Irish festival in the entire country. I think, I've heard a rumor that it was bigger than the Dublin, Ireland Irish Festival, which I don't believe it, but anyway. Last I heard, they're up around 300,000 folks that come through the Irish Festival in 3 days. And it's a very big event. They only have one building that houses restrooms for the entire event. One building. The rest is done with, now, with the large scale porta-johns, not the blue boxes, but the actual ones where you walk up on a stair
The
and,
trailer.
yeah, the trailer size ones, and they do that, and they have done that for many, many, many years. So,
That's what the
think
pork
about.
festival brings in, and then what time the fair used to have showers. and-
We still do.
But that thing's a headache, you probably, every day you're back there fixing a water line that falls off the bottom or something, it's a headache to have there.
So the only reason I mention it, you know, an event that's has been at least pretty darn successful over the last, 10 to 15 years, bringing in a really large quantity of folks. I mean, I think, I'm trying to think how many toilets are even in the restrooms that are in the building. I want to think it's 6 to 8 buildings, and of course there's a line out the door for, the ladies and sometimes the men if they're not moving fast enough to get through that building. But they still make it work. So something to think about as we're getting through our priorities. Maybe something where we could beautify the fairgrounds before we get to restrooms.
Well, then I would still tear down the restrooms.
Yeah, that's beautifying the fairgrounds. What's that?
Tearing down those restrooms.
Number 12.
So you're gonna have it figured to us by next week,
Bill will
correct?
speak up.
Yes.
So we can plan another meeting.
For the things that are in the assessment report.
You're
talking to Wayne Trace, right?
Timeframe is driving me crazy. I mean, I know that's just me.
It takes a lot of time.
And
I mean,
there's
it's
just a-
140
we would have
pages
to
in
put
that
a
assessment report.
bridge
and
in.
It took our guy every bit of about 2 months to get through.
We got a county engineer, he's probably got a couple old ones sitting around somewhere.
I think that's what I heard.
I hope somebody gets to read all of it.
Hey, Rodney,
Yeah.
did you ever find out whether we have to use city zoning or we have to use county zoning, or how we go about that?
You did not spend 2
No,
months not full time.
I wish Brad was here. He just-
Yeah, I know, I meant to ask for 11, I forgot.
The fairgrounds.
city.
county
Is it in, would it be city zoning?
City limits.
No, he spent about the last.
My only question was with it being county.
That's what I wondered about
Fairgrounds.
county.
We use
We have to
NIC.
go to the city to take and get the permit for the tractor pull.
I'll find
Then
it.
that answers our question then,
I
probably.
mean, that's where we gotta get.
I think there's one thing,
What? I mean,
Did you talk over Aaron? Did
Oh,
I think we're kind of
we're
done.
gonna bring up one
One-
thing. He asked what the pork festival wanted. I was speaking, but I have another person here from the festival that remembered this.
I think the most important thing for the festival is getting traffic out. We can't get it, we can't bring them in because we can't get them out, especially at parade time. There is a solution as far as I'm concerned, and that's put a bridge in and outlet them out on Wayne Trace Road. We own the right of way to go out there. And that, all you would use that for is an exit. Don't bring them in, an exit.
We thought about actually taking everybody out here at one point in time. The first time we ever looked at the plan, not knowing the traffic flow as well, you all do, but, we had talked about in our office about, keeping everything in here, but taking everything out that way rather
Out
than
to
bringing it up.
35
It would just
gate,
won't be one flow.
What's that?
that's out to 35 gate.
Yeah, right here.
Yes.
Just an idea. Roadway improvements are pretty expensive. Extending things and bridges and, that type of stuff.
I'm hearing that they won't let us do any, it takes a bridge to get out to Wayne Trace, that they won't let us do that cheaper.
The
version.
swale.
I heard that.
Oh,
Because the
gravel.
Army Corps of
I don't
Engineers won't
remember
let
which
you
meeting we
drive
talked
through it,
about
right,
that,
Randy?
but-
No, yeah, you have to have.
You can't drive through because
We
of,
talked about the gravel.
The thing is, we
It's a
can
good
go
idea.
around on the north side of the track and go out.
good thinking, just
But you
won't
bring
work.
them in two ways. if
You're
they
saying
want
around
to
here?
go
Yeah,
out
this
that
is
way.
our exit now.
Where's your main parking?
Okay, if you take these barns down, you can never cut out.
And it's
you'll have a
September.
little bit better traffic flow.
Go out
So,
Nation
it's
Ave.
raining.
Yeah, you can go out Nation Avenue, you can go out 35, but, everybody tries to go out the south entrance, because, they just don't want to drive around or something,
Would it
but
be more
if
feasible?
we had road signage saying.
Oh, I'm not
exit
supposed,
this
that's the way
way,
I went out when I left,
Make more feasible to just make the Southgate.
Or not
lanes
use,
2
so,
hours?
No, no.
I mean, if it's there to use, and you have no guidance of
I
what
was
they're
gonna say,
supposed
you
to
need
do.
some
what you're gonna
signage
do.
up to show them where to go.
I say the most
Right.
important thing of getting traffic out, you know, any of you have been to Columbus Zoo or any one of those places, I mean, the Columbus Zoo actually dumps out onto a major intersection. The biggest thing is making sure to get them on the road without them stopping to wait for traffic so they can turn left or right. I mean, just getting them out, I mean, onto a road, whether it's the direction they wanted to go or not. I mean, just getting them out.
The sheriff does a decent job of that. They're out there moving them on.
And I'm sure they
the
probably do
road.
that on Saturday during the pork festival. They're just sending them, you know, northbound on 122. They can't even turn left.
Make it entrance only and exit, entrance only on the south entrance and exit on 35 and on the north side.
As long as they had to park on the east side there, if we make that an entrance.
I don't think we have a problem.
What's that?
The traffic,
Getting
the
people out.
traffic flow for the fair is 4 hours a night. And all you have to do is make the Southgate 2 lanes in and 1 lane out, and that solves your 122 issue. Because that happened last year, and I went out there and asked them, I said, take 2 lanes and bring them in. And they did, and 122 was cleared in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that for
Have them
2
park on,
years.
have them park on the
Yeah.
property, no, right?
Mike said that the only
don't have
issue
traffic at the
at
fair.
the fair is
That's
if
right.
we have one of the
Oh, I
big
totally agree.
events. And then it's getting everybody
It's
out.
altogether different.
Well, there was that idea
Everyone's
earlier
coming
about
at one
moving
time,
tickets from
in the
here to
morning or
here.
lunch.
Just get people parking faster.
That'd be a major.
I really like that idea. I don't remember who brought that up.
First take.
That was an early idea.
Yeah, it was an early idea. Move
Oh,
it,
yeah,
instead of
just
doing
be
tickets
whatever.
here, get tickets here, not like fencing the property.
It takes long enough to burden all this stuff.
In the morning, in the evening, and it was slowing down about that.
Maybe get everybody in.
What I envision.
There you go. We could probably measure it out.
Why, Joe? Try to do that.
Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think I've got more than enough ideas to run with now. Not that we did before, but this is fantastic. So, thank you all for coming.
If you did write on the suggestion sheet, I'll take those from you if you want. If not, you can drop them off at the office.
Yeah, I got a motion to adjourn. You got a second? By Brad?
Sounds good to me.
Let's go eat. Should eat.
You have a